Hey, in this video, I want to talk about the First Home Savings Account. This program is probably one of the most powerful savings tools that Ottawa has ever created for first-time buyers. Now, most people are very familiar with using your RRSP through what's called a home buyer's plan and pulling from your RRSP to fund part of your down payment on your first home. There is a downside to it, and the FHSA takes care of that. So stick around. We're going to go through why this program is so amazing and powerful as a savings tool, and why you're probably missing out if you're not using it, or if you know somebody that is saving for their first home and they're not using it, make sure you share this video with them too, so they can get all of the savings with the program and get the most benefit when they're trying to save for their house. Hey, I'm Ryan LeBlanc. I'm a realtor here in the Calgary area, and I help families with their next move or investment in real estate with a focus on the practical strategies and smart financial decisions. All right, so what is an FHSA? Well, the First Home Savings Account, it's designed specifically to help your first-time buyers saving for their first down payment. It was launched back in 2023, and it basically combines the RRSP and the TFSA to make the best program, so you get that tax savings when you put your money in, and you get tax savings when you take it out. Now, it's only available for your first-time buyers. So let's go over who qualifies as a first-time buyer. There's a little bit of nuance to it. Okay, so first off, you got to be 18 years old, and you have to be a Canadian resident. You also have to have never owned a home before. Those are the first easy ones. Sounds simple. There's also some nuance now. If you haven't lived in a home that you've owned or your spouse has owned in the past 4 calendar years, you also are considered a first-time buyer. And if you've gone through a divorce, you could own a home, you get divorced, you separate. Now you're also considered a first-time buyer from coming out of that divorce. So there's different options there you can be considered a first-time buyer for, even if you have owned a home in recent years, with some nuance there. Now there's some rules that surround the FHSA and how you can build up this account up. So first off, you've got $8,000 a year is what you're allowed to put into the account. That's your contribution limit. Now that adds another $8,000 every year you have the account open, up to a maximum of $40,000 for the lifetime of this account. Now, the key about this is that the contribution room that you're allowed to put in, it doesn't start accumulating until you actually open the account. So if you are a first-time buyer, if you qualify as a first-time buyer, I really encourage you, open that account right away, open it now. Even if you're not going to fully fund it, even if you don't have the money to put into it, just open it up now and let that accumulation room start to grow. Like I said, you don't have to fund it. You can just open it up and then it's there. It's ready for you when you're ready. But if you end up coming into some money at some point, or your savings rate is able to increase and you can start really contributing to this account, you're going to be capped at $8,000 in your first year. So start it early, let it grow, and you're going to have the ability to actually get the most benefit from it when you are ready. So let's look at how these tax benefits actually work. The contributions that you put into it, they reduce your taxable income, just like an RSP. So when it reduces your taxable income, that means that the taxes that you would have paid from your income already, you get that money back. So right away you get a benefit just by putting it in there. And I'm going to go through an example here, show you how powerful that can be in just a minute. But unlike the RSP, you don't pay that tax back later on, and there's no requirement to ever pay this money back. The fund is specifically set up for saving for your first home. Now, as we compare the RRSP to the FHSA, you'll see the home buyer's plan under the RRSP, you have to pay that money back in 15 years. So you borrow that money, basically, you're borrowing it from your own retirement. And that's where it really differentiates, because the FHSA allows you to have a fund that is specific and very focused on the purpose that you're investing it for, that you're saving this money for. And it allows your RSP to stay focused on your long-term retirement goals. We can touch on that in a second too, about the duration and the type of investments you might be wanting to get into with this. But just know that with an RSP under the home buyer's plan, yeah, you have to pay that money back in 15 years. And with the FHSA, you withdraw it there's nothing, you don't pay taxes on it, and you never pay it back. It's there. It's a purpose-built account for saving for a home. Also with an RRSP, there's a 90-day rule where you have to have that money sitting in the account for a minimum of 90 days. I believe it's 89 days it has to be in the account in order for it to be qualified as in order for it to qualify for your home buyer's plan. So even if you put the money in, it's got to wait that almost 3 months to be able to actually use it and turn around and take it out to buy a home. Otherwise, it's just a fully taxable amount that you're taking out, and there's no benefit at all. You don't want to do that. Now, there's no limitations on the FHSA. You can actually take the money out the week after you put it in. There's no time limit on it. The FHSA is cleaner and more powerful for many, many buyers. All right, so let's work through an example here. Here you've got $8,000, okay, in your FHSA. That's year one. Year one. Okay. Next, let's assume that you're working under a 30% marginal tax rate. Okay. So this is the amount of income tax you would pay over on your income overall. Now, if you were to take that $8,000, you put it into your FHSA, your 30% tax rate. Now, right off the bat, you're going to end up with $2,400, okay, of income tax rebate back to you. So that $8,000 that you put in quickly turns into $10,400 effectively once you factor in your tax. Okay? You do that for a second year, now it becomes double that. So now you're at $20,800 effectively is what you're able to save from this program. And along the way, any interest that grows along the way with your investments, whatever interest you're able to grow on it, that becomes tax-free as well. So mind you, if you're doing it for a short period of time, it's not going to be a huge amount of interest, but less tax you pay is always a benefit. Now, the beauty of that is that this is actually just for one person. So if you're buying a house with a partner or a spouse, and they are also a first-time buyer, now you get to double this. This $10,400 in the first year alone, that actually doubles. So now you've got $20,000 if you're buying with somebody else in year one. Okay. What kind of investments can you make inside of the FHSA? Well, for starters, think of the FHSA as a basket. Okay. This is not an investment in and of itself. It is a basket that holds investments that you purchase inside of the basket. No different than your RRSP or your TFSA. They're all registered accounts, and they're just a basket that holds different investments. Now, the most probable scenario that you're going to put it into, if you're on a shorter time frame, is going to be a high interest savings account. For the most part, you don't want to put your money at any elevated risk that you don't need. Okay, shorter the time frame, the lower the risk it has to be in. So a high interest savings account, it's going to go in there. It's going to earn 1.5% or something like that in a high interest savings account. That's going to be all you really want. It's not worth the risk trying to gain more out of putting it in a stock or a mutual fund or something for a very short period of time. So when I'm talking short period of time, I'm really thinking if it's anything under, say, 18 months. Okay, if it's anything under 18 months, you know what? Just keep it in cash in a savings account and let it grow that marginal amount. It's going to be safe, and it's going to grow a little bit, and you're not going to pay taxes on it. It's a win-win. If you end up keeping this money and you have a longer time frame, maybe you're sitting out 2 years, maybe then, okay, now we're start considering, okay, maybe you want to put it into a GIC. You can lock that money away, get a little higher interest rate. It's still very safe in that account, in that type of investment, and you're going to get a little bit more. Maybe you can get 3% on a GIC. That's going to, double what you could get it otherwise. If you were to go any longer than that, now you've got a longer horizon, 4 years, 5 years. Now you can start talking about maybe an index fund or something that's very conservative still. Again, this is not investment advice, but generally speaking, keep it conservative as much as possible. There's really just no reason to risk your money to the stock market when you have a very specific purpose. Your timeline is really going to dictate what type of investments you buy with this. But just think of it this way, no matter what investment you're buying with this, you're still getting that instant tax savings just by putting it in there in the first place. So what happens when you are ready to buy a house, you've saved your money in this FHSA, how do you get the money out? What's the next step? There's a couple stipulations that have to be met. Number one is it must be a qualifying first home purchase. That just basically means it has to be residential property that you intend on living in within that first year. Now, the funds you withdraw, they must be used within a specific timeline. Now, this is an important aspect of it. So the timeline is from when you have a signed purchase contract up until about 30 days after you take possession. Now, along with that, there's a withdrawal form that has to be filled out, but that'll be done with whatever financial institution that you have. That's going to allow you to take that out and have it qualified for buying your first home. Now, the thing is, your down payment can still be combined with all the other savings vehicles that we have. So things like your RRSP under the home buyers plan, that's going to give you a maximum of $60,000 you could take out of your RRSP on top of your TFSA. There's no limits on that. You can take money out of that, add that to it. If you have a gifted down payment from a grandparent or a parent, that can also be added to it. So it's not restricted to anything at all. It's just another layer of savings that lets you build up more money to put down on that first home. What happens if you never buy a home? The money is not lost. It's not gone to waste in any way at all. In fact, it still serves you in the long run because you're able to just transfer that money over to an RRSP. You're simply just taking the money from one registered account and moving it over to another registered account. There's no tax penalty for it, nothing like that. So it doesn't disappear. The worst case scenario is that you don't buy a house and that money just becomes part of your retirement savings. Now, here's some mistakes to avoid with the FHSA. Number one is waiting too long to open it. I would strongly recommend everybody, if you qualify as a first-time buyer, just open the account. It's not a loss. You don't buy a house, you move it over to your RSP. It takes you a few years to save up. Great, that contribution room has grown and now you've got more available room to work with, which gets you more savings with your taxes. Number two is going to be over contributing beyond that contribution room that you're allowed. So if you do happen to over contribute, let's say you've got $8,000 of room and you over contribute at $9,000, well, now you're going to get taxed 1% on that $9,000. But the simple solution at that point is just you move that extra $1,000 over to your RRSP and everything is just fine. Now, number three is investing too aggressively for a short timeline. You don't want to risk your money unnecessarily to the stock market or to riskier investments. Keep it safe, keep it in something, keep it in a GIC, keep it in a high interest savings account. Number four would be withdrawing your funds before you actually have the purchase contract in place. Again, there's a timeline, a very specific timeline that has to be met here. You can't just withdraw these funds at any given time. As soon as you withdraw those funds, if you don't have a qualifying purchase on a home, you're going to be taxed on that. Okay, so just wait till you have the purchase contract, then you can withdraw the funds, it qualifies, you get the tax savings, and everything is good after that. The FHSA isn't just a savings account, it's a planning tool that, to be honest, any first-time buyer would be foolish to skip. If you're planning to buy in Calgary and you want help aligning your savings with real numbers, feel free to reach out. I hope this was helpful for you. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this. I like to focus on smart money decisions and real estate tips that make sense for your family and for your budget. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.